Welcome back. You're watching Overdrive. Now, recently we were the chosen few to be invited to ride the TVS Apache RR310 race motorcycle that is used in the Asian Road Racing Championship, that is TVS's one-make racing series. Now, Rohit tells you what is different in this motorcycle from the ones that is sold in India and the ones that we have come to love.
We are back at a racetrack and we've been riding an RR310 again. I know what you're thinking, but no, this time it's different. So why am I grinning? That's because we're at a MotoGP certified track and we've been riding a race bike. So who wouldn't? And not just any race bike. One that until a day prior to shooting the story was racing neck to neck against other similar motorcycles in the TVS Apache RR310 one-make series at the Asian Road Racing Championship. And you see, it is a big deal because by participating at the ARRC, TVS Racing is actually creating a channel, a pathway for Indian racers to graduate to a global scale and get better exposure. And that global exposure is very important. To that effect, three celebrated racers from India, Deepak Ravikumar, H.Y. Ahmed and Jagan, were a part of the 20-rider roster that comprised racers from other Asian countries, and the sheer fact that our Indian boys were outpaced by most of them shows how fierce the global competition benchmark is. And it will only make our champions aim for better performance, especially when the motorcycle spec and tune is the same for all the racers, providing a level playing field. This race bike is derived from the road-legal Apache RR310. So apart from the bore and stroke of the engine, the internal gear ratios and the main frame of the chassis, the rest of the bike is actually bespoke. Like for example, a twin exhaust system, titanium walls, forged pistons. You also have a ram air intake system. All of this comes together to make the bike noticeably quicker. If you've ridden the RR310 or even the one-make race bike that they have back home in India, this one feels quicker still. And the top speed, well, they just managed to get a 211 kilometers per hour out of this from a 310 single. Though our short 30-minute track session was largely spent learning the lines of the flowing Chang International Circuit, the 310 never felt inadequate or underpowered for what is a fairly quick circuit. I did make a few mistakes with the lines and at speed, and yet the race bike never felt like it would throw me into some expensive mess or put me on TVS's blacklist. It is forgiving in that sense and never feels overwhelming despite that performance. And that is down to excellent chassis balance, some conservative tuning on our test bikes, and precise tuning of the fully adjustable Öhlins suspension by the TVS engineers. For my frame size and lack of fitness, I found the ergonomics to be a bit cramped. But then again, TVS was very quick to identify that, quickly make changes to the foot pegs, to the clip-ons, make the geometry more comfortable for me. Now, the racers, of course, get this privilege, and they also get to choose between different sprocket sizes. It's a limited choice, but they get to choose that as well. Even the engine RPM can be played around with as per their riding preference, as per their throttle usage. But TVS likes to keep it conservative to make sure that the reliability of the engine is not compromised. In fact, it was made even more conservative for our ride today. And even then, the bike felt quick. It raced to the red line so quickly. And then getting used to that GP pattern took some time. But after that, oh my God, it was lovely. And all those bangs that you hear on the upshift, amazing. It just contributes to that atmosphere. It just contributes to that feeling of being on a race bike, on a race machine. And that's wonderful. You need to experience it to believe it. Despite the conservative tuning, the lighter bunch from the group saw top speeds of over 180 kilometers an hour. The lap times for the ARRC racers on this circuit are in the mid-150s for this season, while the faster bunch is only around 7 to 8 seconds slower than the Moto3 bikes. By making improvements to the internal gear ratios and using lighter carbon wheels for next year, TVS hopes to break the 150 barrier as well.
The race bike also rolls on a shorter wheelbase, and that's thanks to a shorter swing arm. Remember how we keep saying the RR310 is an excellent sport tourer, and out on the track it handles quite well? Well, in this form, it doesn't feel like an in-between. It doesn't feel like it's trying to achieve a best of both the worlds. This one is a proper, sharp race bike. Around the bends, it's sharp, it's nimble, it's blisteringly quick. So quick, in fact, that my reflexes have been slower, and that's on a flowing circuit like the Chang. If you were to bring it to something that has a lot more switchbacks, something like the Kari maybe, the rider is going to have a hard time. That is how quick this machine is, and that is how demanding this machine is.
The lighter bodywork, along with the lighter engine and chassis components, contribute to the superb agility of this motorcycle. We have a detailed video explaining every little change that this bike has over the road-going RR310, so don't forget to take a look at that as well. But the bottom line is, for its first year on international racetracks, the RR310 has transformed into a true blue race bike that feels like a totally different machine than not just the road bike, but also the one-make race bike that competes in India. Kudos to the team of engineers at TVS Racing for making this happen.
So what's the point of this story, this review, this first ride, if a chosen few are going to be able to ride this motorcycle? Well, looking at how TVS has done up their motorcycles in the past, looking at so many TVS presentations, if you were to participate in one, you will often hear the term TVS is an engineering-driven company. Looking at all of that, I think TVS might just use their learnings from this machine. They might just use some hardware from this machine, and that could actually filter down to the RR310 that you and I can buy back home in India. We've already seen the race replica of the smaller RTR series. So I'm guessing a race replica of the RR310 could be on the cards too. That's wishful thinking, but why not? After experiencing this machine, I hope some of that DNA comes to the India Spec bike as well. Fingers crossed.
It's time for us to take our final commercial break, but on